welcome to another episode of Umineko no Naku Koro ni Alliance of the Golden Witch, which is the fourth arc out of 8. We're doing it. We're doing it. I'm hyped. So hyped even that I hope that we're gonna not make it to a certain part this episode so that we can do it next one. So that we can start off with a bang. I think I mentioned this multiple times already, but this is my favorite episode, or one of them, out of all of them. It's not my favorite, but it's definitely up there. Yes, so yeah, looking forward to it. Also, this next bit is gonna have just a lot of really cool, interesting bits of information, and there's there's a little bit of meta stuff in there that's kind of a not commentary, because that sounds like the author's dunking on the fandom, but there's a little bit of he took some inspiration from the fandom at the time. Let me just put it that way, and you can you can feel it in the next bit. It's interesting. But before that, we have our content warning. I forgot how to do commands in Twitch. I did not forget. Never mind. Content warning for this entire arc. Child abuse, bullying, character deaths, detailed descriptions of gore and body horror, mentions of suicide, misogyny, and some awkward skeeviness, like always, because Battler is kind of awkward and a little bit skeevy sometimes. That's who we be. So now that you know what you're in for, let's get into it, and I'll do a quick recap of the last episode for as much as I can manage, because last episode wasn't a lot. Basically, last time we dealt with the possibility that Kinzo is dead, and that Kraus and Natsuhi have been covering it up to steal his money. The adults are pretty convinced that this is the case, and they're basically using it as a blackmail to get money out of Kraus and Natsuhi. He might, Lulu, he might come back. Then on the sort of modern day side of things, Ange has been reading Maria's diary with her own, shall we say, skewed perspective, which Maria, the Maria that Ange has been talking to, very much disagrees with. And we got a really detailed look at Maria's daily life, sort of, and how her relationship with her mother. And whether you agree with Ange or with Maria, it's up to you. I'm sure it's probably in the middle somewhere, honestly, if you ask me, but that's my opinion. And that kind of then spiraled into them talking about what the nature of truth is, and that's kind of a central theme to the whole thing, to the whole series. So that's interesting, and we're gonna deal with that some more right now. I don't know whose voice this is, so I don't know how to voice them. So I'll just do a really neutral one. Yes, I will never forget that. It happened in April of 1987. I received a strange request from a friend. There was a large collection of books, the former possessions of a very rich man, that were being sold at auction, and it was thought that some of them might have been extremely valuable to the study of archaeology and folklore, as well as in an occult sense. So this friend wanted to witness their worth confidentially. That was 87. Half a year after the crime on the Dokonjima. Correct. It was explained that those books had escaped the disaster at Dokonjima. The owner of the island, Miss Ushiromiya Eva, had put them up for auction, not adoption. That's not how books work. This was apparently a high-class restaurant. A middle-aged man was sitting across from Ange in a secluded and quiet seat. Amakusa could be seen by the entrance. There you go, Lulu, there he is. He was probably keeping a lookout for pursuers from the Sumadera family. The scholarly man across from Ange spoke politely, but with enthusiasm. He didn't lay a finger on the food in front of him, so you could tell how excited he was as he spoke fervently. He was a professor at a certain college, and particularly well known as an authority on Western folklore. However, among his life works, that was only a convenient exterior. His true life work was the study of occultism, Western magic, alchemy, and everything else to do with the occult, as well as demonology. In short, he was the person in the best position to understand the details of Kinzo's research. First, what I learned by appraising those books was that Miss Ushinomiya Eva had absolutely no education in the study of folklore, and that the original owner of the books, Ushinomiya Kinzo, was certainly one of the top 5 authorities on demonology in Japan. April 1987. A major city antique shop obtained a large quantity of ancient documents that were thought to have a high historical value. They were entrusted with him by Ushinomiya Eva, who wanted them to be sold at auction. At the time, it was thought that Eva would succeed the Ushinomiya family and have all the wealth to herself, as the only survivor. However, at that point, not even half a year had passed since the accident, and the others had not been missing long enough to be presumed dead, even under extraordinary circumstances. Because of that, Eva had supposedly been in a very tight spot financially, unable even to collect on her family's life insurance. It seems she'd tried to sell everything of value, and even the books kept in the place where she'd escaped harm in, Kuadorian, were used for this purpose. These old books, which would eventually be called the Ushinomiya Library, were later gathered from antique shops by authorities in the field so that they could be appraised, and those authorities were astounded. At least speaking from the perspective of occultism, the impact of that discovery on the world was comparable to the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is because, contained within the Ushinomiya Library, were many extremely vital documents that had never been found, though their existence had been known of for more than a millennium. The many dreams of the occult, such as those represented by alchemy, always stirred an intense fascination in dilettantes. It is whispered that many magic books of great historical value, currently unknown to the public, might be in the secret possession of extremely wealthy lovers of the occult. Items such as Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks, which are particularly popular among dilettantes, are said to be prime examples of this. It is said that approximately 5,000 pages of these notebooks currently exist, and that over 10,000 have been lost. But some researchers believe that a large part of this lost portion may be monopolized by certain enthusiasts and members of the extremely rich. It is said that, because of this, even now, dilettantes who can't help but seek these spare no expense to search around for quietly hoarded away and unannounced notebooks. There's probably no doubting that Ushinomiya Kinzo was himself one of those dilettantes. No one knows what Kinzo went through to obtain those, but there can be no mistake that he used his vast wealth freely, buying them off other rich people with the same hobby as him. Those books, which were so valuable that enthusiasts could never satisfy their desire to hoard them away, were discovered in large numbers at the end of the 20th century. And their release to the public had given the entire world a massive shock. Because of this case, the name Rokkanjima became known across the world. The world was also shocked to learn that, in all likelihood, a large number of even more valuable undiscovered books were lost during the accident on the Rokkanjima. Because of this, the names of Rokkanjima and the Ushinomiya Library will remain in our memories for all time. Our memories. That "our" probably meant the occult Nick of the woods with the same hobby as Kinzo. Because of that incident, the name of Rokkenjima had taken on a vital meaning in the world of the occult. There certainly had been a lot of reporting about the accident in the Rokkenjima itself, but not on an international level. However, this one part had spread across the world, taking the image of the Rokkenjima as a small island in the Izu archipelago and painting it over as a demonic island where riddles, suspicion, mystery, and the occult met. In other words, until Kinzo's library was leaked to the public by Ava, Rokkenjima had been merely a nameless island that no one could remember, and certainly not the island of a witch. However, when knowledge of the Ushiromiya library spread all over the planet, Rokkenjima's image immediately took on an occult twist. What happened next was the discovery of that message bottle. That's what turned that island into a witch's island. A nameless island in the Izu archipelago began to transition to an island of the occult, the island of the mysterious witch, Beatrice. You might say that, lacking either the Ushiromiya library or the message bottle, the Rokkenjima witch legend would never have been established. The message bottle. Yes. A form of communication to an unspecified target by throwing an empty bottle with a sealed letter inside it into the sea. It was once famous as a way of sending an SOS from a deserted island, but because of the influence of a certain prominent foreign detective novel, it has also become known as a method of confessing the truth after one's own death, like a time-delayed will. The case of the Rokkenjima message bottle was certainly one of the latter. This is the thing everyone says a fisherman on a nearby island picked up? Correct. We learned that a young fisherman on Shikinejima picked up a wine bottle with a letter in it. This young fisherman kept it just out of curiosity. Then, because Rokkenjima had fallen under the world's attention due to the Ushiromiya library, he announced his discovery. Is there any chance that it was a fabrication made by the fisherman? Of course, we weren't able to deny that possibility. The scraps of paper in the wine bottle were signed by a certain member of the Ushiromiya family, a girl named Ushiromiya Maria. However, after looking at the writing left on her foreign belongings, it was confirmed that this message was written in a different person's handwriting. A different person's handwriting? Correct. At the very least, I believe that there can be no doubt that it was written by a person more skilled at writing and of a greater age than her. There's a very high likelihood that someone faked her name when they wrote it. Therefore, at that point in time, the contents of those scraps of paper were thought to have a very low credibility. However, later on, it was confirmed that a similar message bottle had been recovered from the nearby ocean on the day of the accident by the police in their search for lost articles, and this caused a sensation. It seems that, due to evidence from the surrounding area and the fact that the bottle had been sealed, the police had decided that its likelihood of being a fabrication was low and that it had been abandoned no earlier than a few days before the accident. And the handwriting for both matched. This caused the credibility of the scraps of paper discovered by the fisherman to rise. It seems magazines and the like have reported on the contents of that message bottle repeatedly, but would you like an explanation? No. I know about it, more or less. Many scraps of paper had been stuffed into both of the wine bottles. It was an extensive notebook written by someone calling themselves Ushiromiya Maria, but who wasn't Maria, which told of the events starting the day before the accident and up until the day of the accident in a diary-like way. And its contents had been the beginning of the witch's legend serial murder incident, as well as the Golden Witch Beatrice's puzzle. This bizarre diary-style notebook described how the Ushiromiya family members, nailed down on the island by the typhoon, were caught up in a ceremony for the resurrection of a witch and killed one by one in inexplicable ways. And in the end, the Golden Witch Beatrice revived and everything was flung into the Golden Land. It was written almost as though it was a complete account of the events on those days. Also, it depicted the current situation on the island at the time in great detail. And the former servants who used to work for the Ushinomiya family gave testimony that it had definitely been written by a human who knew the inside details of the island. So, because of a combination of the occult boom from that strange fantasy novel in the Ushinomiya library, and as well as the fact that the truth remained shrouded in darkness, the legend of the Dokonjima witch was born. Correct. More than 10 years have already passed since that case, and it is still the focus of interest for occult enthusiasts across the world. No, to the contrary, you could say that it has become increasingly deified as time passes. There are still many enthusiasts who try to secretly land on Dokonjima, even though it's prohibited. Could there be another message bottle that has still not been discovered? And on that day, what really happened on that island? There is still much to be discussed. As though he had finally remembered that he'd been going on and on for some time, the man took a gulp of water. I will now do the same. Okay. His potage was getting cold. I don't know what that is. But it seemed that the man's hunger had already been blown away. Hey Jester, welcome to the stream and thank you for subscribing for 3 months. Damn, that's a long time. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? This man just gleefully told us about how he wants to know what happened to our family, basically. In a very, very disrespectful tone, to be perfectly honest. I'm pretty sure I heard that the fisherman's scraps of paper and the police's scraps of paper had completely different contents. Correct. Due to that, interest in the Dokonjima mystery increased even further. Inside both bottles were diary-style notebooks on which was written an account from the day before the accident until the day of the accident. However, while both of their contents described the same 2-day period, they were completely different. It was as though one was the truth and one was a lie. Or perhaps both were lies. In any event, the beginnings and endings alone matched each other. In the beginning, the 18 people, including the relatives, are sealed up on the island by the typhoon. And in the ending, everyone dies, the Golden Witch is revived, and everything is flung into the Golden Land. The contents of both message bottles wrote about the events of the day before the accident and the day of the accident, but the details were completely different. Also, I hope you had a good birthday. Both diaries outline a serial murder following the epitaph of the witch, but the order of the sacrifices, the way they died, and even the tale of the 2 days were different. However, in both, everyone died in the end, and the witch revived, making for the same general plot. Because the only survivor, Miss Ushinomiya Eva, has remained silent about what actually happened on that island, the events of that entire 2-day period are shrouded in darkness. These 2 diaries presented a full 2 theories to wipe away that darkness. Those 2 days could be explained with either of those 2 diaries. However, we don't know which is correct, or even if there's anything correct contained within them. Schrodinger's cat box. If it isn't denied, even a mixture of truth and fiction can be the truth. Through the media, these scraps of paper had of course been shown to Eva as well, but in the end, she never broke her silence. Who sent the message bottles? And why? Earlier, in their special issue for the crime's 10th anniversary, a certain magazine took that topic up for discussion in a grand manner, didn't they? That theory seems to be the one garnering the most support lately. But it is rather dull. What happened on that island, on that day? considering this question is the true charm of the witch hunt. The witch hunt? Yes, the Rokkenjima witch hunt is the name of the group of enthusiasts who tried to explain the truth of that crime from an occult perspective. Discussion of the mysteries that surround Rokkenjima, from the Ushinami library to the mysterious 2-day period to the legend of the Golden Witch, is flourishing even today among enthusiasts. For the 10-year anniversary, an international convention was held in New York. I also participated as a representative of Japan. I was able to intermingle with zealous overseas witch hunters in many ways. Witches are a very popular category overseas. The age span of the participants stretched from elementary schoolers at the bottom all the way to famous cultural figures at the top. Even in Japan in recent years, there was finally... You probably don't need any more explanation, but he's one of the most famous Rokkenjima witch hunters in Japan. Even though I didn't ask anything more, he kept continuing on, excitedly all by himself. As I swirled the thin film on my potage with my spoon, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right, very sorry if I'm not, I shrugged my shoulders and sighed. Looks like researching about the message bottle really was a waste of time. Now, if there's one thing I found, is that the notebook supposedly written by Maria One-chan was actually written by a different person faking her name. And that person wrote up an occult legend on their own, put it into the bottle as though it was the truth, and threw it into the sea. I have a question. Why would they go to all the trouble of writing so much in order to prepare a suspicious letter like that? With the message bottle, there'd be no guarantee that it'd ever pass into anyone's hands. If their luck had been bad, it could have sunk in the ocean, never to be seen by anyone. And even if someone had picked it up, they might have not cared about it and thrown it away. Why would they entrust their confession of the truth to the sea with such an uncertain method? And why would they write up multiple differing tales? If there had been one message bottle, claiming that its story was the truth might be reckless, but not impossible. However, because there were two, that made both of them doubtful. If someone was plotting to make out those 2 days to be the work of a witch, then they really did go one step too far. And because there were two, it suggests that an undiscovered third one, or possibly even more, might exist. In other words, the two differing contents makes both of them harder and harder to swallow. But despite that, the contents have both matched in that they told of a witch in a tale. So is that the main point the writer wants to get across to us? It seems to me that the only possible explanation is that someone who wants to give rise to an illusion of a witch carried out this crime for their own enjoyment. However, the 17 people other than Aunt Ava lost their lives, and a vast wealth of maybe even 10 tons of gold had moved around secretly in the darkness. It doesn't feel right for a confession occurring after all that to bring up this illusion of the witch. Even if we ignore the magazine's theories, it's very doubtful that the message bottle really was a diary. After all, the amount of writing was massive. It's hard to imagine that someone actually caught up in the middle of a serial murder like that would be able to calmly write it down. In that case, it's probably more realistic that this diary was written slowly over a long period of time, up until the day prior to the accident. In that case, would it mean that everything on the Rokkenjima was a planned crime, with everything prepared for over a long stretch of time? The fact that Aunt Ava left this world without saying anything is infuriating. She definitely said it on her deathbed. She definitely said that her reason for not telling me the truth was because it was her best way of harassing me. Yeah, by now it's painfully obvious. Of all the things Aunt Ava did to harass me, this was probably the last and the greatest. But thinking of it this way, it's pretty doubtful that Aunt Ava is the true culprit. Of course, that's not because the handwriting on the message bottle was different from Aunt Ava's or anything like that. It's because in both tales that were discovered, Aunt Ava was included among the victims. if the writer of that diary was the culprit, maybe Aunt Ava was also one of the targets to be killed. Maybe Aunt Ava survived because something went wrong. Because I hated Aunt Ava, I came to believe that she had to be the culprit. But the existence of the message bottle makes me suspect that the mastermind is far more profound, a far more profound and unknown person than her. I looked at the clock. I've heard more than enough. It's time. As he continued to speak fervently, I suggested that I wanted to bring this discussion to a close. He seemed to be aware that he'd gotten excited and talked too much, so he quickly accepted this. Thank you very much for today. I believe I've heard something truly valuable. Oh no. It was truly fun to be able to welcome a young lady as a new friend of the witch hunt. I've many precious materials that I couldn't show you because of this change to a different venue from the usual. I would be glad to show you them at the next chance we get. Thank you, Professor. Could I ask one more thing? Yes, what is it? Professor, why are you interested in witches? No, in occultism and demonology. Hey Camel, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Well, that is somewhat embarrassing. A daydream I had in my childhood that if I could use a mysterious power, I could take on even the biggest of bullies. Went on to become my life's work. After all, the primitive desire of admiring unknown power is as universal today as it ever was in the past. Professor, if you could do it, would you want to become a witch? Do you still dream of being able to use magic at will? But of course. Even though, at this age, I understand logically that such a thing couldn't exist. I could not forget my childlike dreams, such as flying in the sky and turning scrap iron into gold. If you would, please keep this a secret from my students. I'm doing pretty good, thank you for asking. If I told you that I was a real witch, would you believe it? My pet theory from my few experiences with women is that they're all witches. Wow. 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 Okay, moving on. Yikes. And there's the misogyny, that's where the content warning's there. Compared to some of the stuff we've seen already in this game, though, this is tame, so... Yeah. Uncomfortable. Don't like it. Don't like this man. Ange noted that the old professor, who must have been an earnest scholar with barely any experience with women. Is that like a sexist way of saying I'm gay? All women are witches? I guess that's possible. Anyway, sorry, it just... I mean, the joke there that they're trying to make is that, oh, he's such a nerd, he isn't around women at all, you know? But my brain turned into something else, and I don't know. I thought it was funny. It's not. It's still sexist, so it doesn't matter. Also, this is 12 years after like the incident. This guy has no excuse to be talking like that. Like you can't even say like, oh, it was back in the day, you know. Moving on. Yeah. And one final question. Professor, have you seen the original message bottle itself? I have indeed. In that case, do you know that handwriting well? Of course. I'm not a specialist in that area, but at least when it comes to the handwriting of the message bottle, I am proud to be the most knowledgeable in Japan. At that point, Ange set a book on the desk with a thud. And this is? I've never seen it before. He prided himself on his thorough knowledge of all literature related to Dokkanjima. Difficult sentence, and he looked bewildered at this binding that he hadn't seen before. Ignoring him, Ange silently flipped through the pages. 1 second, I need to call. Okay, we're good. Opened to one of them and showed him. I forgot to turn it back on. I didn't forget, actually. I clicked the button and it didn't work. Let me just... Thank you for letting me know. Otherwise, I would just get going. I can't remember when I paused. Yes, I do. Hold on. Ignoring him, Ange silently flipped through the pages, opened to one of them, and showed him. On that page was a handwritten paragraph beginning with "To my beloved witch apprentice." And at the end, there was a signature in katakana that said Beatrice. This is... The instant he glanced at it, his face went pale. She knew the answer before asking, but Ange asked it aloud anyway. Does the handwriting in the paragraph on this page match the handwriting in the message bottle? Well, I must take this home and investigate more. Pardon me for asking, but what in the world is this book? Where did you get it? The man stretched out his hand, but Ange pulled it back, as though telling him not to touch it with his filthy hands. Thank you. Just that reaction is all I need. Thank you very much for today. Here's the reward I promised. Yeah, it's... OBS is this thing where I need to click everything twice, and sometimes I don't. And then that's how you end up muted for like a good chunk of time. But you caught it really quick, so thank you. As she stood up, clutching Maria's diary, Ange carelessly tossed a wad of 10,000 yen notes, wrapped with a strip of paper, onto the table. As Ange turned her back to him and made to leave, the man raised his voice as though clinging to her. But Ange didn't stop mocking. I beg you, what in the world is that book? I don't need a reward, show me that book. Both you and I are in the witch hunt, but it looks like we aren't pursuing it at the same level. You're entertaining yourself with the outside of the cat box. And what I want to know is the inside of the cat box. And this book is the key to opening it. It's too good for you. Well then. Goodbye, gentlemen. Have a nice day. Please wait. Sumadera-san. His voice didn't reach her. She had already joined up with Amakusa and gone into the car. Did you find anything? Only at the very end. I was right. The one who wrote the message bottles was Beatrice herself. Cool. So you've concluded that the witch actually exists? Who knows? Mind if I sleep? I'll bet that talkative professor gets lost in his own little world in lectures and makes a lot of kids fall asleep. Please, go ahead. Take a rest. Still, that went very well. That guy believed I was a Sumadera until the very end. The Sumadera family had set up a web beforehand around any people Ange might try to contact. They had offered a reward to anyone who could take Ushiromi Ange into custody if she appeared. Ange had foreseen that and had snatched it away. She had called herself Sumadera, and after cleverly tricking the man by saying her own subordinates would set up an ambush, so he didn't need to worry about it, she had taken him outside. So when the Sumadera family pursuers reached the professor's house, there was no longer anyone there. According to the family, a young man and woman calling themselves Sumadera visited this morning, and took the professor out with them and still have not returned. There's a chance we were outmaneuvered. What a bad child, Ange-chan. I wonder if that craftiness is from Nesan's blood. To think she'd casually take on the name of Sumadera after saying she'd hate to go by it so often. The professor should be returning soon. When he does, we must serve him some tea.
Yes, understood.
I wonder if she thinks she's leading me around by the nose. What a naughty child. With a demonic look on her face, Kasumi violently stamped her heel. I'll teach you. About my magic of origins. I thought that was still Kasumi talking. No, I taught you before, right? And you used it before. Did you forget? You were also a witch apprentice, Ange, with your name entered into Mariage Sorciero, weren't you? I was also included among the witches, wasn't I? I closed Maria's diary and flopped down on a very high-class looking bed. I'd slept deeply for a long time in the car, and so it took longer than usual for drowsiness to set in, and I read the diary as I waited. This was a super expensive hotel in the city. Since it was often used by the rich and the famous, they were very big on confidentiality. That made it very convenient for Ange to escape her pursuers. The idea that renegades should spend their nights hiding in cheap hotels is a commoner's way of thinking. Damn. To Ange, who possessed all the wealth of the Ushiromi family, renegade life was comfortable indeed. Of course, even though he was a guard, Amakusa was a man and therefore in a separate room. Ange used the bedroom of the suite, and Amakusa lay on the sofa in the living room. According to Amakusa, the sofas here were more pleasant than his own beds had been recently. Poor guy. When I looked at the clock, I saw that it was almost 2 in the middle of the night. I'm still not getting sleepy. I sighed deeply. At that time, even though there was no wind, I had the feeling that Maria One-chan's diary fluttered. Then, One-chan appeared. Her form was no longer the normal one I'd known. She was wearing the dress that Beatrice had given her after acknowledging her as a witch. If you don't get some sleep, it'll be tough tomorrow, right? If I were a witch too, I'd be able to use magic, wouldn't I? Yeah, you can use it. I taught you, didn't I? Taught you how to use it. And you were able to use it in the past, weren't you? I remember. I started wanting to use it. Are you starting to feel lonely? Not really. It's not like having a different pillow every night is that tough. The first step to magic can be loneliness or boredom. Even small reasons like that. Even if it's just trying to kill time until you can fall asleep. Oh, wrong boys. Even if it's just trying to kill time until you can fall asleep. Yeah. I'm glad you remembered about magic one more time. It's been quite a long time since I last used magic. A At one point, with Marie One-chan's introduction, I touched a corner of it and opened the door a tiny bit. So I should still remember that sensation.
Right now, your magical power has declined significantly, Ange. If you don't devote yourself to the basics, it'll be hard, okay?
Sure. Checking all directions. Securing a quiet space.
What about Amakusa-san?
He's sleeping. After opening the door to the living room a crack, I could see the blanket caterpillar on the sofa roll over in its sleep.
With your magical strength as weak as it is now, the anti-magic power is affecting you too much. Not just the sight of people, but voices, sounds, and even the presence of people will get in the way of your magic. Sever those completely. Like how ancient magicians shut themselves up in ateliers to preserve their isolation.
I remember. The very existence of humans blocks magic. Therefore, the very act of showing magic to people is the sign of a high-level witch. Obtain a quiet space for yourself alone. That should be enough to prepare a space to use magic.
Next is the vessel. Right now, it's important for your bike to at least have training wheels. No, a chain.
This is, of course, impossible. Ange rubbed her own head. She wore hair accessories there, with pink gems attached. They felt a little childish for Ange, but she never took them off, not even for a single day.
Yeah, it really will be impossible for you now, Ange. If you'd practiced every single day since then, you might have gained the ability to summon with that by now.
If I were to start training now, how long would it take?
It's said that a year of magical training for a child is worth 10 years for an old person. You need a lot of determination.
You mean, like Ushiramiya Kinzo? So, just like the piano and the violin, getting a special education from a young age is huge when it comes to magic.
As you are now, your power is weakened since the time you were first able to use magic, Ange. Don't overdo it, and devote yourself to the basics.
Maria really is the real MVP here. Like, I think she might be on just entire coping mechanism at this point. Hoo boy. Like, without her, I don't know. Who knows what would happen? After stubbornly rubbing those things on my head one more time, I gave up. Then I started fishing through the knapsack, looking for anything that might make a good vessel. I know what will happen. That's true. And that's all I'll say about that. Shouldn't this be a perfect vessel?
It's been a long time. Yes. With this, I think even you should be able to perform a summons as you are now. And they have no masters now. No master now. It should be possible for you to become their new master, Ange.
Among the things that looked like good vessels, I took the one I thought might possess the strongest magical power, and set it on the side table near the bed with a clatter. It was a shady-looking, stake-shaped weapon with an occult design inscribed on it. It was one of the 7 stakes of purgatory, which the witch used to offer sacrifices. When the police had been searching the family's possessions, they had collected a large amount of junk. After the investigation had finished, these had been politely returned to the Ushiramiya family. Finding something that I'd seen in the pictures of Maria's diary, I took it home with me.
Originally, there was 7 stakes of purgatory. Oh, pitiful. Now she's the only one left.
One-chan smiled, looking lonely. I pulled another book out of the knapsack. This was also old-fashioned, and you could tell that it was an occult book just by looking. But its contents were plain. It was one of Marionne-chan's elaborate notebooks. This wasn't a diary. This was a grimoire, which she had written as a witch. The 7 Stakes of Purgatory are Beatrice's furniture, created by her and employed only for her sake. But since Beatrice is also a witch of Mariage Sorcière, they could be employed by Maria, the witch of the same alliance. For that reason, the method of summoning the 7 Stakes of Purgatory and how to handle them was written about in great detail in Maria Onechan's grimoire. And, as another person with their name registered in that alliance, I was also permitted to employ them. Which of the 7 sisters is this stake?
Their characteristics are written about well in my grimoire. The sisters of the 7 Stakes really hate it when you get their names wrong. Remember their names well before summoning them.
A packed page told of the 7 Stakes of Purgatory. It described the 7 sisters in great detail. Yes, I think I memorized almost this entire page once in the past. And the more I read it, the more I read it, the more I start to remember. By the pictures and characteristics written on the grimoire, I could tell that the stake in my hand was Mammon's stake. In the past, I hadn't had any stakes, so I'd summoned them without any vessel. So this was the first time I'd clearly seen any of the 7 stakes, let alone Mammon. Mammon, the 5th sister, controls the deadly sin of greed. An incredible kid.
Greed also controls aspirations, the desire to improve oneself, and the strength to live. It definitely doesn't mean only bad things. She's rude, but she's a girl who tries really hard.
I see. You could say that without desire, there's no reason to live. For a while, I heightened my concentration and digested the information that was written about Mammon. The more the summoner knows about the target that's being summoned, the better. Knowledge is connected to magical power. I began to fill my head with knowledge about Mammon, raising a necessary amount of magical power for a summoning. Grimoires can be a bit interesting. This might be a much better read than some lame novel. It really takes me back.
For a grimoire, it is demanded not only that you understand the letters, but that you fill up the world of the space between the lines, giving birth to a world from the pictures and creating things in various ways. The power to give birth to something. For someone who has that, such as you, a grimoire should be more interesting than any book. I've always known that you'd be able to understand that.
That should be enough knowledge of Mammon for now. Yes, I've remembered it, more or less. I'll give it a try.
Take care. In case the worst happens, here's my talisman. The Treaty of the Alliance won't protect you right now. That Mammon is a bit of a quick trigger, and she may still bear a grudge. Be careful.
Yes, I'll wear it. The 7 Stakes of Purgatory, as furniture used to make sacrifices for a ceremony, were treated as beings inferior even to weapons. But that was only when compared to other demons. To humans, furniture is something to be feared. I fished through the knapsack again, took out a bracelet charm with a scorpion medal that I'd gotten from Marionne long ago, and put it on my arm. In the past, I hadn't needed something like this, but I need insurance.
It's okay. That has already been fitted with the required amount of magical defense. As long as you wear that, you'll definitely be fine.
Marionne-chan's magic power, which had been specially put into this charm, had been enough to earn even Beatrice's admiration. While it may have looked like something cheap to a human who couldn't understand magic, its magical worth was incalculable. Come, arise. Forgive the sin. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory, Mammon of greed. focused my mind. I made the magic-repelling toxin that filled my body 0. Imagine an untainted, vast space. Doubts and common sense all resist magic. Make the resistance 0, and erase the burden on the magical power. Inside my head was the image of a vast space. It was a nighttime world where I floated in the air and the neon stars over the ground sparkled. A world where the stars that should have covered the sky were wiped away by the light from below that covered the ground. In the world of a vast night sky with no obstructions, I imagined the wind blowing through at will. At that time, in a room where there shouldn't have been any wind, the free nighttime wind kicked up a cyclone. The long-forgotten sensation raced through my entire body. It was the unique feeling of exultation that comes from using magic. Mamon's stake, which I held out in my hand, gradually began to make me feel a pale light, a twisting cyclone with a stake at the center. The hefty stake floated a bit into the air.
Wonderful. It looks like the gap in your training hasn't stolen your talent.
Come, arise. Forgive the sin. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory, Mammon of greed. Show yourself to me. After I raised my hands, bit by bit, lifting them higher than my head, as though it was being attracted upwards, Mammon's stake once again floated up high into the air and gradually began to shake. That shaking began to grow faster, and it burst. With a speed faster than the eye could follow, it flew around, violently rebounding off the walls of the room. The terrible sound of it dancing around threatened to make me flinch. However, I must not lose my mental concentration. Then, the stake, which had been flying around at an incredible speed, finally stopped and faced me. It was in the air, just a few centimeters away from my forehead, and held back by the defensive barrier created by the scorpion charm. It had tried to break the defensive barrier, eating into it with an incredible power, but Maria Onechan's barrier wouldn't be broken so easily.
It's no use. I can't break it.
The stake muttered hatefully. It was probably safe to say that the scorpion charm saved me. Without that, my attempt at killing time until I got sleepy would have killed my time for all eternity. When Mammon's stake realized that it was unable to gouge me, it gave up and grew docile, changing its form from that of a stake into a human. In that same old outfit that I'd never be able to walk around outside in. Although you could say that it suited her in a demonic sort of way.
Is that Ange-sama? But that magical power's pretty shabby.
Are you really Ange-sama? It's been a long time, Mammon. Have you been well?
And here I was convinced that furniture that's already fulfilled its function just gets left to rust away in a closet. So, what kind of sideshow is this?
You aren't going to say that you're my owner, are you?
Yes, Ange is your master. Lady Maria, how unsightly of me. Was that barrier just now yours? Yes. I thought that, as she is now, Ange might just have gotten finished off by you. I'll enter a talisman. If Lady Maria says Ange-sama is my master, I cannot refuse. Ange-sama, please, your orders. If it's me you need, are you going to perform a new ceremony? With new sacrifices? Of course, that's only if you're willing to handle me yourself and get your own hands dirty.
That role isn't something I'm asking for anymore. All you have to do is talk with me, like you used to.
Yes, if that is what you desire. Furniture is furniture because it is used. It is an honor just to be summoned, Ange-sama.
Maman had a slightly complicated smile on her face. She accepted her new master because Maria had told her to, but it looked like she hadn't gotten over her discontent at working for Ange with her frail magical power. Perhaps she had some other reason for hating Ange, but for now, it seemed that she couldn't disobey, even if she wasn't happy about it.
So, what should I do?
I don't know. Just do something lively, like old times. Well now,
This liveliness you're talking about is probably from when we sisters were all together. It may be difficult by myself. Did you forget? Oh, that's right. The 7 sisters were really lively when they got together. But with Ange's magical power now, I think summoning just Mammon is the best we can hope for. The stakes for the other 6 have been lost.
My apologies, Lady Maria, but maybe it would be possible to summon the 7 sisters via my own stake. If I am to be used, I'd hope Ange-sama has at least that much power, right? Mammon grinned. Apparently, she wanted me to summon the other sisters without a vessel. I see. Since she's unable to satisfy herself with being summoned alone, she's asking for the other sisters to be summoned as well. I get it. Agreed. She was like this back then, wasn't she? To furniture, the times during which they are used are bliss. No matter how badly they are exploited, being used is furniture's joy. On the contrary, regardless of how nice you are to them, not being given a job is more painful than anything in their eyes. Mammon spoke in a challenging way, but she wanted me to summon the other sisters somehow and rescue them from the world of nothingness. If that's the case, all she's gotta do is say so. These demon people can never just say what they mean.
Ange, don't overdo it. You'll need plenty of rehabilitation just from summoning Mammon.
Oh, I'll need to rehabilitate after just one. Well, I'm just killing time anyway. Okay, Mammon. I've gone this far. I'll call as many as I can.
Really? Not bad, Ange-sama. Okay, quickly.
Apparently, even though she'd asked, Mammon hadn't really expected Ange to do this. She hopped around, badgering Ange to summon the other sisters. Summoning Mammon alone consumed a considerable amount of physical and magical power. It'll probably be pretty tough to do 6 more. I'm awed by the magical power of those who can summon sisters like this at will with a snap of their fingers, and who therefore reach the level where they can be called witches.
Mammon, don't make Ange overdo it. She still isn't at her best.
What? Ange-sama said she'd summon everyone. Actually, I only said I'd call as many as I could. I guess that's greed for you.
Don't overdo it, Ange. You should rest for today. You're tired enough.
It's okay. I'm just killing time anyway. Let me get tired enough that I can just fall over asleep. This time, there's no vessel. I'll have to strengthen the image from my knowledge of the grimoire and materialize them with just that. I held my hands out into the air, replaying in my head the sensation from when I'd summoned Mammon. I'm acquainted with all of the 7 sisters, right? I've got to remember that time, long ago, when I talked with them. Once again, the power of magic began to fill me up. It let off a faint and yet distinct pale light from both of my hands. Ange-sama, hold on, good luck.
Hey, Lady Maria, Ange-sama's definitely gonna summon everyone, right? The 7 sisters will get to be reunited again, right? Right? Yeah, definitely. But there's no guarantee that it'll happen tonight. Ange-sama can do it. Please, Ange-sama. Start with the youngest sister, Asmo.
Asmodeus, the 7th sister. Got it. I'll call them in their order, starting from the youngest. A strand of hot sweat dripped down from my forehead. This really is going to be one hell of a burden to carry. The pale light in this space began to slowly form into the outline of a girl. Come, arise. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory, Asmodeus of Lust. There is no vessel. However, as I held a strong conviction that she definitely did exist there as a core, her form began to crystallize. Her outline became distinct, and the form of the youngest of the 7 sisters, Asmodeus, was finally created.
Asmodeus of Lust, right here. Where is this? Am I alive? Asmo, I'm so glad. Mamone-san, where in the world is this? Who summoned me? Ange-sama did. Ange-sama said she'd revive all of us.
No, I didn't.
Ange-sama, thank you. Do bells next, please.
Beelzebub, the 6th sister. Beelzebub of gluttony, come, arise. At this rate, I wonder how many I'll be able to summon. If I can't focus, this is probably it. The pale light made an outline and formed into Beelzebub.
Beelzebub of gluttony, right here. Bells! Ange-sama, you're amazing, incredible!
Mammon and Asmodeus jumped onto Beelzebub, celebrating their reunion. I summoned 3 people at once. My head was throbbing. Gotta summon the next one without stopping for a break. Come, arise. One of the 7 stakes, Belphegor of Sloth.
Belphegor of Sloth, right here. To think that I would be needed again. Belphane, I'm hungry. I'm so glad to see you again. To think that the 7 sisters would be able to meet again. Ange-sama, thank you so much. Keep it up and do Satane next. And Leviane and Lucine.
Yeah, I get it. So, please try not to be so loud. Doing 4 people at the same time is pretty tough.
Oh yeah, don't overdo it any more than this. You did a good job summoning even 4 of them after such a long time.
Stop it, Mammon. Right now, Ange-sama is being pressured with the burden of summoning us. Ange-sama, I beg that you do not strain yourself too much.
No way!
Ange-sama promised. She said we'd all play together again. No,
Right, Ange-sama? You said everyone would meet again. You promised that we could meet again right away.
That's right, I promised. I didn't promise anything about when, but I certainly did promise.
So keep that promise. If you don't, I'll never forgive you for forgetting it until today, Ange-sama.
Come, arise. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory, Satan of Wrath. My mind's getting hazy, but I'll call. Even though I'd forgotten about those days, even though I've never thought of that time as anything but sad and lonely, because the short time I spent with them was fun, without a doubt.
Satan of Wrath right here. What the hell are you people doing? Don't you realize how much it's burdening Ange-sama just to let us have an idle chat?
Satan, who had apparently figured out the situation immediately after being summoned, cried out in a loud voice, telling her sisters off. That loud voice made my consciousness hazy again. We are furniture who have been granted rest by Beatrice and whose duty has been finished. Not only are you not honored in being given another chance to be of some use, but you're putting a burden on our new master, you disgrace to all furniture. Erase yourselves right away. Yes, it's like Satan Ne says. I'll erase myself. You all erase yourselves too. In this moment, that's the best way for us to be of use to Ange-sama. No way. Not until everyone's summoned. Same here. I'm hungry. I mean, I'd hate to leave again so soon after being reunited with you all. Don't be so selfish. Come on, erase yourself quickly. Come on, Osmo. Disappear right now. Satan is bullying me. It's not fair if you always bully the youngest one. Yes, they really are lively. It doesn't bore me. That's enough. You've surpassed your limits for now, Ange. You're right. With 5 of them summoned, and messing around as they pleased, the load was far too heavy for me, with the meager magical power I had at that moment. This is it. As my consciousness went hazy, I fell over onto the bed. Have beds always felt this soft? It seemed that the sisters were still squabbling together as much as they liked. For a way to kill time until drowsiness comes to get me. This is enough. Feeling something warm and nostalgic in the sisters' liveliness, I sank into a world of deep sleep. At the entrance to my dream world, I felt Maria Nechan and Sakutaru waiting to receive me. You worked hard, and good job. Good to you. Welcome back, Ange. Welcome back, huh? Then I should respond like this. I'm home. Okay, gonna drink some water. Some water. And do some saving. Damn, that last line really got me. Ooh. Okay. Bit more water. That's right. Just once in the past, I underwent training in order to step into the world of witches. I accepted that the only power that could save me from those sad, painful days at St. Lucia Academy was the thing called magic, and I received Maria's introduction to the basics. Imagine a vast space. The scene from when I looked down at the mountain's base from a rest stop at the peak. Like this. I projected that scene from a memory into my mental world. Normal girls get over their fascination with magical girls when they leave elementary school. So seriously training to use magic at this age was embarrassing even for me. But even that embarrassed feeling felt pleasant to me now. Right then, I was learning mental concentration from Maria Nechan in order to use magic. But it wasn't going very well. It was about as hopeless as teaching a person to wiggle their ears by showing them. It seems that you need to imagine a vast space to gain the mental concentration for using magic. So I remembered the time from my younger days when my family had gone on a small vacation. When I had looked down towards the base from a viewing platform at a rest stop on a peak. And I tried painting this scene in my mental world.
No, still far too small. Imagine a much, much wider space. And create your own mental world. Your image is still way too foggy. There's no temperature in the air and there's no wind. No smells either. The world is still very faint. You can leave those for later, so for now, imagine an even wider space. Why do you have to imagine a vast space? From the time of their birth, humans have inside of them a toxin that blocks magic. If that toxin isn't purified, you can't use magic well. One effective method of achieving this is to imagine a vast space.
Just now, I thought of the world as seen from the window of an airplane, but that didn't work. I can't even think of a world more vast than that.
In that case, Maria just has to teach Ange about the vast world Maria has. Won't that make it easy for Ange to imagine as well?
That's right. And I'm interested in the kind of world One-chan imagines when she uses magic. I'll use it for reference.
That won't work. The mental world must be vast and isolated. A world with no obstructions other than yourself. So, if you teach someone about that world, it won't be isolated anymore. That's why you mustn't reveal your mental world to anyone. And if you draw up a good mental world, you too must keep it as a secret only for yourself. So stingy, Maria.
Thanks, Sekotaro. I guess there are no shortcuts in training. I'll make an effort. It's okay, I've been given plenty of hints.
Do your best, Ange.
Until recently, I thought there was no way something like magic could save me. After all, magic doesn't exist in this world. That kind of thing is supposedly nothing more than an illusion, a delusion, a daydream. However, Maria One-chan showed me that she could fill in her own world with happiness, using a power that's impossible for me. I used to look down on that happiness as something empty. Because I didn't believe in magic, I also denied everything else, refusing to believe in the happiness that magic gave birth to. But slowly, bit by bit, Maria One-chan's world grew happier. In the past, I'd disparaged it, thinking it too pitiful to look at. But that might have been nothing more than jealousy. I was forced to admit that. And now, this was my first step in my search for happiness. A vast space. A dry wind that could blow without being blocked by anything. Let me feel that wind blowing through my own hair. I see. Even the ground might get in the way as I am now. Then, I don't need a ground. Brush the ground away, downwards, downwards. In other words, it was as though I had floated up, leaving the ground far behind. After pushing the ground further and further downwards, the ground grew foggy and faint, and for the first time it began to feel like the sky. Then, I understood its vastness. In that instant, I felt the vivid wind go right through even my body. In other words, blowing through me without any resistance.
Yes. Maintain that sensation.
Yeah, I get it. I get that I've been released from all hindrances.
You did it, Ange. You did it. You've taken your first step into the world of witches.
This is The world of witches?
Yeah. So let's try practicing the magic that you've always wished for, Ange. Magic that'll summon friends. A magic that'll create allies who will save you from your loneliness, and thereby bring you happiness. Will Ange also be able to summon friends like me? Who do you do? As she is now, it's still far too early for Ange to summon friends like Sakutaro from the Sea of Zero. To begin, let's start by practicing with friends that are easy to summon.
What will we start with?
Because you're a witch of Mariage Sorcière,
Still not entirely sure how to pronounce that correctly.
you are also permitted to use those employed by other witches in the Alliance. For example, Sakutaro is my friend, but since you're in the same alliance, he's your friend too, and you can summon him. You want to try summoning Sakutaro one of these days? When you're so lonely it gets tough, I'm sure Sakutaro will cheer you up.
I see. You could call Sakutaro a being employed by One-chan. So, as a witch in the same alliance as her, it's possible for me to summon Sakutaro too. I met Sakutaro's gaze. How pleasant it would be to have him just be there by my pillow, so he could talk to me a bit on lonely nights. If I call out, will you appear and talk to me?
Who do you? I can't wait to be summoned by you, Ange. Who do you?
Sakutaro also the MVP. He's also extremely cute. Looking happy, Sakutaro pressed his head against me like a cat. Suddenly getting a cute younger brother felt a bit confusing, a bit embarrassing, and a bit nice. They can both be MVPs, absolutely. Unable to understand why I couldn't honestly accept this feeling, I felt tears well up in my eyes. Right. I'll give it all I've got, One-chan.
Then let's practice. Let's try summoning the furniture of Beatrice, a witch from the same alliance.
Beatrice's furniture. Hearing Beatrice's name gave me a slightly strange feeling. When it came to the crime in Rokujima, the public kept going on in a frenzy about how it was a sacrifice ceremony performed by a witch. And that witch was Beatrice. So if the witch did commit that crime, that would make her the culprit who stole my family from me. However, Maria One-chan said that Beatrice was a good witch. If I held negative emotions towards Beatrice, she'd get mad, leading to a nasty fight and refuse to talk for a while. At this moment, One-chan was my only close friend. So to avoid worsening her mood, I decided to think of Beatrice as nothing more than One-chan's magic teacher. Also, I believe that the crime was a conspiracy cooked up by Aunt Ava. I would definitely expose the truth about that someday.
Ange, obstructions are entering your body again.
Sorry, I lost my concentration. One more time. I'd expect no less from you, One-chan. You instantly noticed that I was being overcome with idle thoughts. After shaking my head just once, I reimagined the wind blowing through a vast space. The Seven Sisters of Purgatory? That's a pretty creepy name.
But they're very energetic and fun kids. They might become your new friends, Ange. First, I'll show you how to summon them. Watch.
Maria One-chan lifted both hands up to the level of her head and quietly unified her mind. The state I wasn't able to reach except by meditating for a long period of time, she reached in the span of a few quick breaths. Then, a pale light began to gather in her palms, and one by one, the girls began to show themselves. 2, 3 people. 4, 5, 6, 7 people. The way they were summoned one after another in a line was a masterpiece. Incredible. Just like the illustrations in One-chan's grimoire, the 7 Sisters of Purgatory. The younger sisters were behind the eldest, Lucifer, who saluted One-chan. The 7 Sisters of Purgatory, right here. Lady Maria, it has been quite some time.
Yes, long time no see. Is everyone well?
We furniture are what we are because we are used. To us, being summoned after so long is truly an honor.
Kya, Sakutaro, it's been so long. You look as cute as ever. Me first. Guys, today is so fluffy, squishy, and cute. Let me hug him too. Let me hug him too. Can't breathe. I won't run away, so let go of me, everyone.
Hey, you all. Are you trying to break Lady Maria's furniture? Anyway, get away from him. Hugging is prohibited. Even though you're saying that, it looks like you want to hug him the most, Satan, nay. It's not like I have any interest in something so fluffy, squishy, and cuddly. Hey! Be silent in the presence of Lady Maria and Ange-sama, you foolish sisters. They're so energetic. I was shocked by their sudden burst of activity right after they appeared. And on top of that, I was surprised that the innocent Sakutaro was on such good terms with the 7 sisters. That's unexpected. To think that Sakutaro would be so loved by such shady people.
They're fellow members of the same alliance. There's nothing to be scared of, right?
But on the off chance that their mood worsens, it looks like they could finish Sakutaro off in an instant.
That's alright. The witches of the alliance and their furniture are all friends. So Sakutaro can play without worrying. Of course, that goes for you and me too, Ange.
It was one of the pacts of Mariage Sorcière. Mutual non-aggression and non-interference. Member witches must respect each other's magic and creations. Even the sisters, who are normally shady and belligerent, treated fellow alliance members as friends. So to the 7 sisters, Sakutaro was a mutual friend. Even though Beelzebub wants to eat him. He was loved by all of them, and they were even trying to steal him away from each other. This scene as they squeezed him and loved him was a bit charming. I see. They're fellow members of Mariage Sorcière after all. At a glance, you'd think that Sakutaro's casual atmosphere and the 7 sisters' shady one would be like water and oil. It looked like they definitely wouldn't be compatible. And yet, they were interacting in a friendly way like it was completely natural. This wonderful alliance could join all the peoples of the world together. I wonder if everyone in the world would be able to become friends right away.
All you 7 sisters, listen. Right now, Ange is in the middle of magic training, so I want everyone to lend their power.
Certainly, Lady Maria. But what specifically?
The magical power materializing you will move from me to Ange. In that state, I want you to be by her side all the time. You just have to talk with her.
My apologies, but I wonder if Ange-sama's magical power will be able to easily summon all 7 of us around the clock. The oldest sister, Lucifer, gazed at my complexion as she advised this, speaking reservedly. In other words, she was saying that the burden might be heavy for me at this point in time.
That's the kind of training it is. Ange has more talent and magic than everyone imagines. It'll be pretty tough, but I think it's worth it for Ange to take this challenge as she is now. Ange, starting now, I'll move the magic power materializing them over to you. In other words, it'll become as tough as though you had summoned them.
So, what Maria One-chan was trying to say was something like this. To keep the seven sisters materialized, you are continuously burdened with a significant amount of magical power. Maybe you could say it was like training while wearing a weighted wristband.
Doing all of the seven sisters would be pretty tough. Isn't that asking a lot of Ange all of a sudden?
Thank you, Sakutaro. But this is training to become a witch. I want to see how far I can go. The seven of them certainly do seem boisterous. But even if this is for training, having them with me will surely distract me from my loneliness, at least a little. I understood it would be an ordeal, but wanted to give it a shot.
Don't overdo it if it gets tough, okay? And everyone, if it looks tough for Ange, take it easy.
Certainly. Get it, everyone?
Yes, One-sama.
Well then, Ange-sama. For now, we, the Seven Sisters of Purgatory, will become your furniture.
Lady Maria, if you would. Yeah. So, Ange, can we start?
Sure. I'm a little nervous.
This might be tough all of a sudden. If you feel like you're getting a headache, lower your magic power immediately. Okay, I'll move the source of magic power over to Ange.
In an instant, the inside of my head felt very heavy. Yeah. It's tough. Until then, the inside of my head had only been used for myself. It was almost like it was now being used for 7 other people. If they just stood there and blinked once or let out a single sigh, that would put a strong pressure on my head. Lady Maria, my apologies, but perhaps the burden from all 7 sisters at once might be too great after all. I'm okay.
No. It won't work after all. You're using all of your energy to materialize them. There's no point if the burden is such that you can't balance it with your everyday life. And anyway, this is a bit unrefined for a witch. Lydia, that's why I said doing so many suddenly was impossible. Everyone, erase yourselves for a bit.
Right. It seems it'd be better to lower the number of people. Asmo, erase yourself.
Me again? I'm opposed to younger sister bullying. Disappear starting from the top every once in a while. That would mean I'd have to disappear second, right? No.
Don't make such a ruckus, Asmo and the Vianney. That kind of disturbance will become a burden to Ange-sama. The noise you're making is also a burden, stupid Satan.
The
7 sisters started arguing over who should erase themselves first. The energy from that fight all became a burden, forcing Ange to bear an even greater headache. In the end, they decided to order with rock, paper, scissors, and 1, 2, 3 of them disappeared. But even at that level, Ange was still far from comfortable. In the end, when 6 of them had erased themselves, I was finally able to calm my breathing. With my magical power, forget the 7 sisters. Just 1 person is my limit. Sheesh. This way it's not the 7 sisters but just me, right? You're a bit unreliable, Ange-sama. Momom, who had won all of the rock, paper, scissors matches and was permitted to remain until the end, grumbled.
Dude, come on, you shouldn't say things like that. Ange's still just starting her training. Are you alright, Ange? Was your headache okay?
Sakutaro stretched up on his tiptoes, trying to pat Ange's head. Sakutaro MVP. Watching this, Maria scratched her head, acknowledging that this sudden training had been too difficult.
Ugh, maybe that was a little too much. Might be perfectly fine with this much, though. The more friends you have, the more fun it is.
Now I'm even more aware of how incredible you are, One-chan. Apparently, when one reaches Maria One-chan's class, one can summon enough people to perform in an orchestra. For a witch apprentice, that's awe-inspiring. Are you okay, Ange-sama? I'm sorry. It looks like summoning you is the most I can do. Well, I guess I'm okay with that. After all of the seven sisters, of all the seven sisters, I get Ange-sama all to myself. What do you think, Ange-sama? If it's just me, will it be a burden for you? No, I think I'll be able to manage you alone somehow. Great. Then please train a lot and cultivate your magic power a bunch. Then someday, for sure, please bring the seven sisters together and let us serve you. Promise? After confirming that for the time being, her own materialization wasn't causing any issues, Mamon immediately became cheery again and tried to make me promise to work harder. I see, that definitely fits with her being greed. But maybe you could also call it having a positive attitude. Yes. I promise. I have to be able to do at least that much someday. Thank you, Ange-sama. I, Mamon of Greed, will surely serve you until that day. My headache finally abated, and I relaxed both hands, which had been clutching at my head. Then Mamon stuck out her hand, helping me stand back up.
What do you... Maria, Ange, it's about that time. If you don't return to the room, you'll be scolded.
Huh? Oh. I hadn't expected Sakutaro to talk about the time. I was brought back into reality. As though the light had disappeared, the vast world sunk into the darkness, and I was in a tiny, tiny bathroom stall, sitting on a toilet. One-chan's grimoire was open on my lap. I looked at the clock. It was almost 8, time for lights out. If I show up late for the roll call before lights out, not only will things get pretty annoying, but it'll cause trouble for my roommates and floor mates. I couldn't care less about causing them trouble, but I don't want them messing with me later. My free time by myself is already over for today. I'll sleep, wake up, tomorrow will begin, and another long, long grey-colored day will repeat again. I closed the grimoire and rose from the toilet seat. At that time, One-chan appeared again and spoke.
Hey. Hey, Ange. You're forgetting your training. Take Mamon with you.
I'd forgotten. The moment I'd returned to reality, Mamon's materialization had stopped. One more time, I created a strong image of the existence of Mamon in my mind.
Sheesh, you're so mean, Ange-sama. Why'd you erase me so suddenly? At this rate, you won't be able to call all seven sisters easily.
I'm sorry. I got careless.
It's been incredibly long since I've materialized in the human world, so I'm interested in absolutely everything. I'm getting a bit excited. Where is this?
The St. Lucia Academy dormitory. This is a stall in the shared bathroom. Each room has its own bathroom, so no one comes here. It's quiet, perfect for reading books.
So in this dorm you have to hide in a toilet stall to read a book?
Do they burn books or something? I have a 2-person room, so my roommate is always there. Our relationship is gloomy and it feels like I'm always getting ignored. The atmosphere is bad, so I really can't relax there. And as long as I'm not there, she can do what she likes, call her friends over and chat away. It's more convenient for them too if I don't return until just before lights out. There's also a library, but there's a group that uses it as a meeting place. And they're always talking behind my back, so I don't like to go there. During lunch, it's the bushes behind the school building. During the night, it's the stall in the shared bathroom in the dorms. Those are the only hideaways where I can find peace. I opened the door to the stall and went out. I turned around, signaling with my eyes for Maman to come with me. I don't really get it, but I realize it'd be hard to call this place pleasant for you, Ange-sama. Let's go out quickly. I hate the air here. Really? I think the air here is the most decent. When I left the bathroom and entered the corridor, because it was near lights out time, several kids who had gone to play in other rooms were dashing back to their room. When it came time for lights out, we had to change into uniform pajamas that we hated and called prison clothes, line up in the hallway and go through the dorm leader's roll call. On the off chance that someone was late, we would take collective responsibility and all of the floor mates would have to undergo punishment in the form of volunteer work. As long as I avoided this, the girls would look at me coldly, but they wouldn't get in my way. That alone was enough for me. Maman looked at the passing kids and the furnishings of the dorm with interest. Without paying her any particular attention, I hurried back to my room. In front of my room was my roommate, who had already changed into her prison clothes, chatting with some kids from the room next door. When they noticed me hurrying back, the topic of their conversation noticeably changed. They lowered their voices, stealing glances at me. I acted like I didn't notice, went into my room and changed. Then I hastily went out into the corridor. Everyone was already lined up. Hey, this is weird. I thought this was a school for rich girls. It's like a prison. It's stupid. You think so too? That's what I think. And unlike prison, you don't get out early for good behavior. After bad-mouthing the place, I noticed something. Having someone to listen to your complaints feels surprisingly good. Fortunately, Mamon's form can only be seen by her summoner, me. And of course, there was no need to speak out loud for this conversation. All I had to do was speak inside my mind, so no one could listen in. Magic, and the friends it creates, might actually not be so bad. All of these people are sheltered brats. Feels like they aren't even alive. Stop it. If you're seen by some chance, it'll be pretty bad, right? Humans without a fragment of hopes or dreams are like a lump of anti-magic. There's no way they'll be able to see me. You lower life forms can't even see. Are you okay being around so many humans without magic resistant toxin? I'm fine as long as you continue to make me materialize, Ange-sama. Although, since you'll probably have to keep concentrating to materialize me, there's a chance you'll neglect your daily life. Look, that girl you're sharing a room with is calling you, right? Huh? Oh. Ishinomiya-san, are you listening? About our weekly duties starting next week. She's probably trying to push a few more chores onto me. My roommate, who never even looked me in the eye normally, was smiling at me unpleasantly. But it'll be easier to have the weekly duty pushed onto me alone, rather than doing it together with her. That's a small price to pay to have her continue to ignore me non-stop. Even so, with a completely shameless excuse, she sidestepped the issue for some reason and insisted on flipping the situation around, as though I should have come forward and done it of my own initiative. One of the special traits of this academy is that it's full of girls who don't know how to ask a favor.
That kid. She pisses me off. I'd love to just gouge her right in the forehead.
Yeah. I hope you do. One of these days. Yeah. Having a friend nearby all the time to complain to makes me happier than I thought it would. It really was lively with all the 7 sisters gathered together. I'm sure just watching them mess around will be a lot of fun. I want to gain enough magical power to summon all the 7 sisters at once, and soon. So I'll train much, much more. And finally summon the thing I really want to find.
What is it you really want to summon, Ange-sama?
Mama noticed my conversation with myself inside my head and asked about it blankly. I hesitated to talk about it, but then figured that there was no reason to hide it and told her. My family. Dad, Mom, Oni-chan.
So you mean the souls of the dead? Calling a resident of another world is summoning, but calling back the souls of the dead is called resurrection, and they're completely different. Resurrection is supposed to be very high-level magic.
I know. So much so that even Maria Ona-chan can't do it at all. But that's the thing I want to find with magic the most. I've been warned that it's a very difficult high-level magic. So great that in the worst case, I might not necessarily reach that point even after training for my whole life. Furthermore, I have no vessel. A vessel is vital for making magic succeed, whether it's summoning or resurrection. Because I don't have that. The magic that would already have been difficult is now hopeless. That's right. I have nothing to remember Dad or Mom by. However, by an extraordinary coincidence, I do have something to remember just Oni-chan by. And that's this.
That hair accessory with the pink jewel.
What the hell? I hate to say it, but it looks a little cheap for you, Ange-sama. Long ago, without telling Dad, I went with Mom to meet Oni-chan, and we went to play at an amusement park. And this is a prize from the crane game there. I know it's cheap, I realize that it doesn't match my style, and I get that it's too childish. But this hair accessory is the only thing that makes me feel as though Battler Oni-chan is by my side. Oh, don't do this to me, game. The glass case had been filled with plastic capsules packed with fun-looking things. Yes, before the scene where we're gonna get gutted emotionally, I will save. Thank you for the reminder. Well, thank you for subscribing for 6 months. Thank you, Vape. Hi, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. I will have some water real quick. Oh, nice. You went outside. Damn. Makes sense that you're tired, though, after all that. But yeah, I hope you get to relax now that you're back. Okay, the bugs killing your legs is terrible, I'm sorry. I apologize on behalf of all bugs. And I get to do that because they're my friends. Mosquitoes are the worst. It's different bug. Oh no. Okay, a little more water and then we'll go. I'm ready. Blackfly? I'm not really familiar with those, but I hope it's not like itchy or anything. Or painful. But it sounds like it was. Sorry. Again, on behalf of all bugs, I'm sorry. Oh, that's good. Okay. I'm ready. I'm emotionally prepared. Let's go. It seemed that each capsule had some cute accessory in it. The game was to grab those with the crane, but I was young and it was too hard for me. I tried it several times, but I didn't even get close. Mom said that whatever was inside was probably cheap anyway, and we didn't even know what we'd get, so there was no point in getting all upset over it. But whether it was something cheap or not wasn't the problem. The process of grabbing happiness with my own hands felt really important, sacred to me. So I wanted the cheap thing inside more than anything. I wasn't ready. I was not ready. Oh my god. Look. Then, Battler Oni-chan came over after finishing a game of shooting soldiers with a gun, and tried to do it for me. With his arms that were longer than mine, Oni-chan grasped the happiness that I couldn't reach. Me too. Lulu, it's rain. Salty rain. Oni-chan really was coordinated. It seems he often played with his friends at the arcades. After only 1 or 2 attempts, he grasped that thing on the other side of the glass with the crane that I hadn't even been able to touch, and threw it into the exit chute. I didn't know there was art. Oh my god. When Oni-chan tossed me that capsule, I remembered that he looked very, very reliable. For several days, I felt like opening the capsule would be a waste. Then one day, I finally opened it up, and what revealed itself inside was this pink, jeweled hair accessory. Since that day, it's been a symbol for Oni-chan. Since I was young, I felt that having all 4 of us gathered, including Battler Oni-chan, was a precondition for a happy family. So I wanted Oni-chan and Dad to make up quickly. In my own way, I treated this hair accessory as a charm for bringing my whole family together. So I always used to wear it. I wanted to feel my reliable, fun, and wonderful Oni-chan by my side all the time, and let him live in our house. But my memories of Oni-chan are very distant. I can't do it as easily as Maria Oni-chan created Sakutaro from a lion-stuffed animal. One day, I'll surely possess the high-level magic to revive the souls of the dead. And the only key, the only vessel that can make that successful is this. I see. I did feel an incredible magical power coming from that hair accessory. So that's what it was. Magical power. There's magical power in this thing Oni-chan gave me. Maybe I should say that it resides in you, Ange-sama. Your strong desire to call your brother gives you magical power. Resurrection certainly is a high-level magic. But there can be no mistake that you're steadily and unconsciously climbing the stairs towards it. I'm glad. It's nice to hear someone other than myself acknowledge that. Your own effort isn't something that you can observe by yourself. In that sense, even though these words came from a shady demon girl who controls one of the 7 deadly sins, they made me very happy. Well, I can't guarantee that you'll obtain the resurrection magic before your life is over. However, your power as a witch is proportional to the height of the mountain you dare to climb.
If you don't lose heart, I'm sure you'll rival even our former master, Beatrice, as a great witch someday. I wonder if I can. I wonder if I can become a great witch and revive Oni-chan. No, my family. The Witch of Resurrection, Lady Ange. Yeah, wonderful. A Witch of Resurrection is a very rare kind of witch. Having a master like that would make me pretty proud. Actually, I'd love for that to happen, because furniture's worth is also proportional to the class of its master. Please pass Beatrice-sama up and become a peerless great witch. As a representative of the 7 Sisters of Purgatory, I'll support you from the bottom of my heart. I thought that if a magical friend were to appear for me too, a cute kid like Sakutaro would be best. But even this 5th sister of the shady 7 sisters who controlled the 7 deadly sins was enough to calm my heart so much all by herself. Oriane-chan has probably known that since long ago. That's why she recommended the world of witches to me over and over and over again. And I kept on stubbornly rejecting her. I should have given in and started my training as a witch sooner. A year for a child is worth 10 years for an old person, right? Now I find my past self, which only ever complained, deplorable for wasting my precious time. Long after I turned off the lights and slipped into bed, Momon continued to talk to me alongside my pillow. I promise. One day, for sure, I'll develop a magical power that can summon the 7 sisters. And I'll let them have a lively and fun time. The 7 of them make a single whole. None can be left out. Family must be together. I must bring them together. Well, that hurt. That was fun and painful. I'm just looking something up real quick. So that I can see how long we have left to go. Until the bit where I want to stop is. It looks like it's still pretty far off, so we're probably good. We're probably good. We can keep going for a little longer though. Was what? Oh, I almost said I like the pain, but I don't. Well, I like the things that this game makes me feel like. I like that it evokes like feelings, but sometimes those feelings are pain, and no thank you to that. But on the other hand, I love the story. So I have to take the sad with the fun stuff. I know boys, there are a lot of sad, so yeah. Yeah, the delay is huge. I don't know why. Normally it's a little better. But we'll make do. Just okay, I'm good. Still recovering from Listen, I'm not gonna say any more about that, okay? I don't know how to words. It's almost midnight. I don't want to say anything that's gonna sound weird. Or incorrect. Or be incorrect. And see? I can't talk. I can't talk to them. So what I'll do instead is read. Which also involves talking. Yeah, it's one of those streams where the whole vibe is just kinda a big shrug.
Anyway, let's go. My awareness began to return slowly. Unable to stand watching Aunt Rosa and Maria Oni-chan's relationship, I ran away from Beato's and Oni-chan's game, didn't I? I've got to go back. I've got to go back, support Oni-chan, and quickly bring him back from this strange world of the witches game. After all, as long as I'm here, I'm not allowed to call myself Ange. At that time, I felt someone's presence. When I turned around, I could see Maman there.
Gretel-sama, Beatrice-sama said that if you do not return soon, it will become a hindrance to the progression of the game. I beg that you return swiftly.
Thank you. I'll go back now.
Isn't it great?
What is?
That you were able to meet Battler Oni-chan.
Is that sarcasm?
Well, if that's how it sounds, feel free to call it that.
I'm sorry. I should have taken it literally. Yeah, you're right. Even in this screwed up world, being able to meet Oni-chan makes me happy from the bottom of my heart.
And you'll win against Beatrice, for your Oni-chan's sake?
Yes. Can't have him playing around in the world like this forever. It's about time for him to return home. That's why I came to call him.
Please, do the best you can.
Although I can't support you since my current master is Beatrice-sama. I know. Until October 5th, 1986, you are Beatrice's furniture. And eventually, you'll become my friend. But eventually, you'll throw that friend away. After all, Maman moaned, as if she'd bit her tongue, staggering as she clutched her chest. Apparently, the rules apply to people other than me as well. Are you okay? It's pretty painful.
Excuse me, Gretel-sama.
No, thank you. I'm glad. Glad I was able to meet Oni-chan. That's my answer to your first question. Well, let's go back. If I grumble too much, you'll get in trouble with your current master.
Yes, I'm glad you understand.
Well then, Maman? Huh? I'm sure Maman was about to say, well then, this way. But then she stopped, as though the film had been torn off at that point. It looked like she'd suddenly frozen. And then I noticed. She wasn't the only thing that had frozen. Even the air and floating bits of dust had frozen in place in empty space. A world where it seemed even time had frozen. Yes, this looks like a portent that Bernkastel will appear. But the atmosphere was different somehow. Then I understood. It wasn't Bernkastel. It was the other witch.
How are you feeling, Ange?
Lambda Delta. The rules don't apply to you, do they?
Of course not. Rules exist to bind others. What kind of idiot would bind themselves with them?
Bernkastel is a witch who supports me, but this girl is different. This witch supports Beatrice. In other words, she's a being on the opposing side. But there's some kind of difference between her and Beatrice. Even compared to Bernkastel, there's something strange about Lambda Delta's existence. It's... how should I put it? Maybe like she's a being from a higher dimension. In any event, I was still unsure about how to deal with her. The only thing that was certain was that she was my enemy. Now, just knowing that might be enough, but... So, do you have some business with me?
Not really. When I listened in on your conversation, it started to get a bit interesting. I thought I'd let you hear something good.
You're supposed to be my enemy. I can't think of a reason for you to tell me something that'd help me. So the moment I start listening to you, I lose.
Bye. See you next time. Don't misunderstand. My opponent is Baron, not you. In other words, it's possible for there to be a topic that benefits both you and me.
Sorry, but I don't feel like listening. Although I said that, I probably won't be released from this frozen time until Lambda Delta is satisfied. This itself might be proof that she's in a higher dimension than me. I haven't been given the option of not listening to her. All I can do is try not to be shaken by anything she says, and strengthen my mental guard. She'll probably try to make me believe something disadvantageous to me, threatening me.
There's no need to square off like that. I just came to resolve your misunderstanding. No, that's not quite it. I came to let you know about the lie Baron Castle told you.
Baron Castle lied?
Didn't Baron make it sound like your big brother would come back if you defeated Beato?
Who knows? I don't feel like talking with you. My brother coming home. I hadn't been promised anything that dreamlike. Getting just one person only if I was lucky had been a promise without very high hopes. But that's enough for me. After being promised an eternity of isolation, having a faint but still non-zero chance was like a shining beacon.
In a way, that promise of Baron's wasn't a lie. If Baron promised, then I'm sure that if you defeat Beato, Battler and your parents will be released and will come back to you.
Then there's no problem.
Seriously. That kid is surprisingly cruel. To think she'd deceive you even though she knows.
How are you saying I was deceived? Damn. I'm letting her take the initiative. But I won't be released until I lend an ear to her. So it's something I'll have to hear anyway. Even though I realized I was falling into a trap, I urged her forwards.
What year is it now?
You're talking about the world of the game board? In that case, it's October 4th, 1986.
That's right. So if you win against Beato, then on October 6th, when the typhoon has passed, the people who were trapped on the island will return. On October 6th, 1986, that is, right?
So what?
How was your October 6th, 1986? You were at your relative's house, right?
I'd been at the house of the only Sumadera my mother trusted, Grandpa. We got a call. When I was playing with building blocks in the tatami room, we got that call. After watching to make sure that I'd remembered, Lambda Delta laughed unpleasantly and spoke.
Hey, on your October 6th, 1986, did Battler Oni-chan come home?
Even though I didn't understand what she was saying, I noticed an unpleasant sweat seeping out all over my face. I don't get it. I don't get it. What is this witch saying?
See? If you defeat Beato, Battler will certainly be released. And he'll probably return home. To his home. In 1986. After all, that's how it is, right? Battler was locked up from the 4th to the 5th of October in 1986. It's only natural that he'd return the next day if he were to be released, right? And you're a person from the year 1989. You're Ushiramiya Ange of the year 1989, where Battler did not return. You know what that means?
What are you talking about? If my family came back home on October 6th, wouldn't that be wonderful? I'd come home from Grandpa's house right away, and then we'd meet. Everyone would be happy.
Yes, Ushiramiya and Ange probably would be reunited with her family. The 6-year-old Ushiramiya Ange from 1986 would, right?
Who am I?
Ushiramiya Ange, an 18-year-old one. No, that's not it.
You aren't Ushiramiya Ange.
You're a witch's piece without name, Strictly speaking, the name Ange Beatrice belongs to a completely different person. Know what that means?
I don't really get it anymore.
Huh?
Who am I?
And that's why I think Baron's cruel. No, I think she's a meanie. Especially since it's not like she hasn't gone through the same thing herself.
Am I being tricked somehow?
Yeah, but please don't blame Baron, okay? After all, depending on how you look at it, that kid isn't lying. If Beato is defeated, your family will be returned. Returned to Ushiromiya Ange. But she probably didn't say that this Ushiromiya Ange would be you, right?
Was it like that? Was it like that? What did Baron Castle say to me again? Your assistance is required. Your family needs it. Baron Castle started by saying that. Then I spoke. If I save them, does that mean my family will come home? And how did Baron Castle answer that again? I cannot promise that. She did make me a promise. In exchange for accepting this fight. Yes, this is what she said. In exchange, I will search for a fragment with the ideal world that you wish for. A world where your family comes home. Yeah, that's right. She didn't say any more than that she'd look for it. She didn't say she'd find it. But I was prepared for that from the beginning. But even so, that child promised me that as long as I didn't give up, there was a faint chance of it happening. And in the end, she said this. I'm giving you a chance for revenge. In exchange, I promise to search for and bring you the happiest resolution among the possibilities you're capable of accepting. I've known I was a tough pet from the very beginning. After all, I have no family in my 98. Even just a small chance of shaking that absolute zero would be worth it. I was warned beforehand that even if I succeeded in my revenge, it might be a wasted effort. So...
Yeah, there's no lie in that part. Beato's game board is perfect. Even having you around makes the chances of Beato losing so slim that it's doubtful you could even dream of it happening once in your life. In other words, your chance of winning is almost zero. So absolutely that it could be regarded as infinitely close to zero. So Baron can be forgiven for saying that part in such an evasive way. But I can say for sure that she was tricking you when she let you get your hopes up. After all, even if you could overcome astronomical odds and win, the person your family will come back to isn't you. It's the 6-year-old Ange that exists in this 1986, the true Ushiromiya Ange, not you. Baron will still probably go around the billions of fragments searching for the best world for you. But didn't she tell you that she planned on bringing it to you as a present, but wasn't able to find it?
She did.
You're finally starting to notice, aren't you? No reward has been prepared for you in this battle. No, to the contrary. When smashed, Beato's game board will disappear. Then you, as a piece, will disappear. The sort of goal you'd be capable of accepting is completely... No. I'll proclaim it upon my name. Upon the name of the Witch of Certainty, Lambda Delta. I proclaim that it certainly doesn't exist.
That can't be.
That's what Byrne lied about. Or should I call it speaking in riddles? She made you misunderstand and think you could be saved. I came to clear that up.
In other words, no matter how hard I fight, no matter how hard I pursue victory, my family won't come back to me.
Right, they won't come back. With certainty. The Witch of Certainty says it with certainty. Isn't this incredible? Several ancient kings have dedicated historical buildings to me because they wanted me to give them certainty. And here I am, graciously giving it to you as a present. Isn't this really incredible, cute, and marvelous? But I have a single good proposition for you.
Damn, I'm getting completely overwhelmed. I knew I shouldn't have listened, and now I'm starting to be overwhelmed by this witch Lambda Delta.
My opponent is Baron, not you. Didn't I just say it's possible for the two of us to talk about something that benefits us both? I've said that from the beginning. So listen to me.
You have no choice. Okay. I'll listen. I just gotta listen, right? I finally lost control over my emotions and exploded from the inside. I don't have a clue anymore. I believed that I was Ange. But at some point I stopped being Ange. That's right, I'm Ange. Not Ange. Who am I? I'm not my parents' child, nor my brother's little sister. I'm just a piece in a witch's game.
There's no need to be so pessimistic. I mean, think about it, okay? Right now, you're together with Battler Oni-chan. While it's true that you can't tell him your name, at least you're positioned as his ally in a game where he battles a witch. And you're able to be with him for all eternity. Know what that means?
I can't stand it. But I understand. In other words, as long as Oni-chan keeps getting a tie in this game, it will continue forever. Continuing to tie means continuing the game for eternity. And it means that I can remain with Oni-chan as a piece. But if Oni-chan wins, or loses, and the curtain closes on the game,
you, as a piece, will disappear. How do you define happiness for a game piece? Getting used by someone playing the game. Nothing more. You won't find it when the game's shut in a closet, gathering dust, right?
In the past, the Seven Sisters of Purgatory said it as well. Furniture's happiness comes from being used, not being stored away. That's right. I am now the witch's furniture.
Let's change things around a bit. To be honest, I want this game to continue in a tie for all eternity. An unending game is an eternal cage. An absolute closed room that never opens for all time, and it'll finally make Burn surrender. You know, Beata does want to win a bit. Victory by making Battler surrender. But that's actually a problem for me. After all, if the game ends, the closed room will fall apart. So I'll go easy on Battler a bit, to stop him from surrendering. Don't worry, okay? When Battler's about to surrender, I'll become his ally. But you know, I get the feeling that Beato is faintly starting to realize. I think she's starting to realize that her victory won't come for all eternity in this game. But she is, of course, the Endless Witch. Beato's stupid, so she optimistically thinks that even so, she'll surely win eventually. Like she just has to repeat this game on and on endlessly. Of course, pretty much all blondes are morons. In this game of witches, there will never be a victory or loss. I won't let her win, and I won't let her lose, with certainty. Baron noticed that. So she looked for the most powerful piece for breaking that deadlock, found you, and threw you in. To make this game end, you see. To make this game end. What's a piece's role when the game ends? I'll state it clearly. Your existence is a contradiction. Your reason for existing is to bury yourself in the darkness and despair. My goal is to defeat Beato and release my captive family. And yet, even if I succeed, I won't be rewarded. You cannot lose, and you won't be rewarded if you win.
So I've brought you a third choice. And that choice will make our interests coincide. Continuing the tie for all eternity.
Yes. As long as the tie continues forever, this world will not crumble.
What is this world? It's the world of the game with the witch. A world with Beato and Battler fight for all eternity.
And at the same time, it's a world where you get to be with Battler for all eternity.
My head was spinning. That confusion became a hot liquid and I felt it pouring from my eyes. It was so hot that it felt like it had burned my face.
Right? Ange Beatrice? Since Burncastle's goal is to end the game and end the world where you and Battler can interact, why should you be her ally? That kid tricked you, you see. She made it look like you might be saved if you became her piece. But I won't deceive you there. So I'll say it, Ange. Become my chess piece. Unlike Baron, I won't offer you rewards based on lies that certainly will never be granted. As long as you become my piece and help me so that this world certainly never ends, then with certainty, I'll swear upon my name that this world will certainly continue. That's not all. I'll add on a bonus. This rule that binds you, I'll clear it away for you.
Well, of course, I'll only do it after you've sworn to become my piece, okay? In my own throat, there was a thick, loud gulping sound. I shouldn't have listened. If I hadn't listened, I could have remained an innocent little sister praying for my brother's victory. But it might be different now. I might have been degraded into a witch's furniture, one that cares about nothing but being by Oni-chan's side.
I'm not telling you to betray your brother, okay? If it looks like Balor's gonna lose, you can save him with all you've got. On the other hand, when Balor closes in on Beato too much, I want you to hold back a little.
That's all I'm asking, alright?
Don't worry, there's no need to actually betray Balor. Balor can't win against Beato alone.
That's why I burned through you in, you see?
As long as you don't lend a hand, Balor will be unable to win against Beato for all eternity. See? It's really simple, isn't it?
I feel like that's a cliffhanger, right? That's a good ending spot. That's a good bit to end on. I forgot how. It's been a while since I played this game, so there's a bunch of stuff that I forgot actually about specific scenes, specific characters, and I forgot how intense that scene gets. Damn. That was a lot. But yeah, I think next time it's gonna get equally intense for different reasons. But we'll find out. The upcoming section's quite long. I don't know how long it's gonna take for me to read through it. You know, the whole thing is long in general, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. According to the wiki, we're at the halfway mark, but that's a lie. Okay, let's see. Ending screen. I also just realized I didn't take a break this time. You only know pain? Oh no. What happened? Oh, is it because of the game? I hope not. Like, it wasn't all bad, right? We had some cute moments. We had some investigation. We learned some new stuff. It was neat. It was good. I hope. Well, I had a good time at least. I hope you all did too. Even with, you know, the tears. The heartbreaking moments. And we'll have I think I said it before, but I would love to promise that it gets better. It does not. There's more pain ahead. But at least we're doing it together. We're going through it with everyone, you know. That might help. Yeah. It's... yeah. There's a lot of betrayal in this game, isn't there? Hey. Okay, now that's not true. I'm not a sadist. It's... Am I? I don't think I am. I'll have to do some thinking about that and respond to that next week, maybe, because I don't have a good defense right now. Maybe I am. Still, ultimately, the goal is to share the series with other people, get them interested in it. Maybe get into the whole universe that's tied to this. You know, there's a new anime right now that's a sequel to Higurashi. It's amazing. There's gonna be more games in the author's upcoming series. There's gonna be an Umineko sequel translated into English one day. And we're gonna play that one, let's be real here. There's no way I won't. Once it's translated, oh boy, we're gonna do it. I'm so excited for that. Yeah, the delay is really bad today. I hope it won't be that bad next time. Right, ending spiel. I forgot to take a break. I'm a little scatterbrained right now. Sorry about that. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had a good time and that you're going to be here next time. Even if it's just for a little bit, even if you lurk, I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Also, if you're part of the VOD crowd, thank you, thank you. Let's see. The VOD video will be up on YouTube Wednesday. That goes both for the Twitch highlight and the YouTube video, actually. Until then, you can just rewatch this one if you missed some of this, or if you're just jumping on now. And on Monday, we're going to be back with more I Am Dead, which was a very chill, sweet little game, so it has been so far. Despite the name. We were a ghost, and then for a little bit we were a ghost dog. It was great. It was a good time. There's puzzles. We found a spider. He was named Jeremy. We found a lobster in a toilet. It was amazing. So we're gonna play more of that on Monday, and then we're gonna be back next week. And that's gonna be it for me today. I hope you all have a good day/night. And I hope you all have a good week. Thank you again for being here, and take care. Bye-bye.